This film is based on the well-known Canadian novel The Dogs by Alan Stratton. Some of you may have read the book already. The film opens in a Canadian city at night. Catherine Weaver is scared and looking out of her apartment window while talking to the police. She explains that her ex-husband, Mike Weaver, who used to treat her badly, has been following her. For the past few days, a car keeps parking outside her building, and she believes it's him. But when the police ask if she saw his face, she admits she didn't. She only feels it's him. Because there's no proof, the police don't take her fears seriously. Her teenage son, Cameron Weaver, wakes up and sees how frightened his mother is. Realizing that help isn't coming, Catherine decides they can't stay there anymore. That same night, she quickly packs up and leaves the city with Cameron. They choose to move to a quiet countryside area, far from everyone, hoping Mike will never find them. Catherine and Mike had been separated for years, and Catherine kept moving from place to place. Cameron, now 15, was tired of this unstable life. He didn't hate his father the way his mother did, and sometimes felt she might be overreacting. The next morning, Catherine scolds Cameron for using social media because it could expose their location. She loves him deeply, but her fear of Mike never fully goes away. They stop at a motel, and later, Catherine shows Cameron a house she wants to rent. It's in a small, quiet town called Wolf Hollow, peaceful, isolated, and surrounded by nature. Cameron doesn't complain, though he wishes he could make new friends. At a local restaurant, they meet a friendly real estate agent named Ken Armstrong. He's polite, but Cameron stays distant, worried Ken might try to get close to his mother. Later, Ken takes them to see the house. It's old, but still in good condition, and Catherine likes it immediately. While exploring, Cameron notices the basement door is locked. Ken explains he keeps it locked because of animals in the area, so they don't wander in and damage anything. He also mentions the attic has been sealed off. Cameron enters a room and finds a jar filled with marbles. When he steps out, he notices the basement door is now open. Curious, he goes downstairs. It's dark, full of old items, and he suddenly feels like someone whispered his name.
Cameron.
A moment later, he slips and falls. Hearing the noise, Catherine and Ken rush down, but Cameron insists he's fine. He just tripped. Catherine decides to take the house. Later that night, she tells Cameron that Ken's secretary recently quit, so she might even get a job here. She knows Cameron hates moving again and again, so she promises things will be better this time. After she leaves the room, we see Cameron quietly looking at a framed photo that has his father's contact number. He hasn't called him yet. The next day at school, Cameron feels out of place. When he returns home, Catherine is out buying groceries, so he goes back to the basement to explore. There, he meets Art Sinclair, a man who lives nearby and came to clear out old items. His behavior feels a bit strange, but he asks Cameron to help carry things outside. Cameron does. When Cameron asks who lived in this house before, Art says only, "A boy," but doesn't explain further. Catherine arrives as Art loads his truck and leaves. That night at dinner, she asks Cameron if he made any new friends. Cameron snaps back, saying, "What's the point of making friends when we're just going to leave this place anyway?" Catherine tries to reassure him and also mentions that Ken offered her a job. Hearing this, Cameron becomes upset. He doesn't want any closeness between Ken and his mother, and he leaves the table in anger. While doing homework, Cameron hears strange sounds. When he looks toward the barn, It seems like someone is standing at the window watching him. Panicking, he hears a whisper calling his name and dogs barking. But everything suddenly goes quiet. He decides not to tell Catherine. The next day at school, a bully named Cody and his friends try to scare him, saying the house he moved into is haunted and that dogs once harmed the previous owner. They claim the place is still cursed, making Cameron realize there's a local legend tied to the house. After school, he checks the barn, but it's empty. Later, alone in the basement, he finds old boxes and papers. As he reaches for some documents, he suddenly sees dogs barking at him. He runs out and shuts the door, and after a while, the barking fades. He tries convincing himself it wasn't real. That night, he asks his mother about the house's history, but she knows nothing. He lies, saying it's for a school project, and Catherine suggests talking to Sinclair. After dinner, Cameron searches online for names linked to the house, but finds nothing. Around midnight, he wakes up to see a boy standing in his room. Terrified, he screams. Catherine rushes in, but the boy vanishes, and she assumes Cameron just had a bad dream. Cameron has a fever and stays home while Catherine goes to work. While resting, he again sees the same boy, but this time he isn't frightened. The ghost introduces himself as Jackie, a boy who lived in the house years ago. Cameron insists he isn't real, but Jackie explains his mother left, and afterward his father brought in dogs to keep bad people away. Jackie speaks strangely and emotionally. Before Cameron can ask more, his phone rings and Jackie vanishes. Wanting answers, Cameron visits neighbor Sinclair. Sinclair isn't home, so Cameron looks around and finds old photos of Jackie and his parents. When Sinclair suddenly returns, Cameron slips out. On the way home, he sees Jackie again in the cornfield and yells at him to leave him alone. Suddenly, 2 dogs appear and chase him. Cameron runs home, slams the door, and tells Catherine the dogs tried to get in. But when she opens it, nothing is outside, leaving them both confused. The next day at school, Cameron asks another student about the house and its dark local legend, hoping to learn what really happened. Ben tells Cameron that the house's former owner, Frank McTavish, was reportedly attacked by his own dogs. Cody's grandmother also believes Frank harmed his wife and daughter. There was a major investigation, but nothing was proven. People thought Cody's grandmother had lost control, so she was kept in a mental hospital for a while. Now she lives in a nursing home. While they're talking, Cody appears and starts hitting Ben. Cameron steps in, fights back, and breaks Cody's nose. Other kids record the fight, and both Cameron and Cody get suspended. When Catherine finds out, she's devastated. They were trying to stay hidden, and she fears this trouble could expose them. She also worries Cameron might be becoming like his father. At home, Cameron sees Jackie's ghost again. He's no longer scared. Through Jackie's words and visions, he learns that Frank was cruel and hurt Jackie's mother. Jackie still blames himself. Suddenly, Catherine hears noise in Cameron's room. She rushes in and finds him hurting himself, trapped inside one of Jackie's visions. She pulls him out and holds him as he breaks down. The next morning, Catherine apologizes. When Cameron asks if she thinks he's losing control, she reassures him he just needs help. She says Ken recommended a good therapist and wants Cameron to see him. Hearing this, Cameron snaps. He hates that she shared his private issues with Ken. In anger, he shouts that she always called his father terrible. But maybe she's the problem, and he hopes his dad finds him and takes him away. Catherine is deeply hurt by Cameron's harsh words and doesn't know how to help him. That night, he has another frightening dream. The next morning, Cameron decides to call his father, but before he can, he hears Jackie's voice outside calling him. He follows the voice into the woods, passes through a clearing, and reaches an old cottage filled with abandoned items. There, Sinclair suddenly appears. Angry, he tells Cameron he shouldn't be there and reminds him he also entered Sinclair's house without permission. Cameron ignores this and asks about Jackie. Sinclair is shocked he knows the name. From their talk, we learn Sinclair and Jackie were childhood friends, but Sinclair refuses to share more, saying some secrets should stay hidden. Cameron leaves disappointed. The next day, while he and Catherine are eating out, Cameron tells her what Cody's grandmother said, that Frank McTavish, the house's previous owner, supposedly harmed his wife, her boyfriend, and even his son Jackie, and may have buried the bodies on the property. Nothing was proven, but the rumor remains. Catherine becomes tense and tells Cameron to stop thinking about such things. This frustrates him more because he feels she never takes anything he says seriously. That night, Cameron has another frightening dream. He sees bodies hidden in the attic, including one that looks like his mother. He also sees his father. Shocked, he wakes up, sure the dream has meaning. The next day, he skips school and secretly visits Mrs. Murphy at the nursing home. He sneaks inside and enters her room, pretending to be Cody's friend. She lets him in, and Cameron asks about Frank. Inside her room, he notices a photo of a man, the same person he saw dead in his dream. Mrs. Murphy reveals this man is her brother, Matthew, who had an affair with Frank's wife. She insists Frank killed him, but no one believed her, and she slowly lost stability. Cameron tells her he believes her, surprising her because she can't understand how he knows so much. Mrs. Murphy suddenly screams that they're all gone. Her caretaker rushes in, and Cameron escapes in fear. When he gets home, Catherine is already upset because the school informed her he never came. She confronts him, but a knock on the door interrupts them. An officer arrives about Cameron's visit to Mrs. Murphy. No one is pressing charges, but Cameron must explain. He tells the truth. He wanted information about Frank, who supposedly harmed his wife and Matthew. He also admits he believes the bodies are in the attic because he saw them in his dream. And Jackie has been trying to reveal the same thing. Catherine becomes even more troubled hearing all this. Catherine scolds Cameron, and during their argument, Ken arrives. Cameron insists that if no one believes him, they should check the attic. Ken agrees, saying it might help clear Cameron's doubts. The officer accepts. She goes up first and finds nothing. She then sends Cameron up, but the attic is still empty. Cameron becomes frantic, unable to accept it, and Ken tries to calm him. After the officer leaves, Catherine says Cameron will stay home for a few days. Cameron then admits he never had a school project, leaving her even more confused. The next morning, Cameron wakes to find Ken already there. Catherine has gone to work, and Ken makes breakfast. Cameron apologizes for last night, embarrassed, and their tension softens. He decides to trust Ken and shows him the drawings he found in the basement, explaining he can see Jackie's ghost and believes Jackie is using the drawings to communicate. Ken listens and wants to help, but still tells Catherine because he feels Cameron needs a therapist. When Cameron discovers this, he feels betrayed and upset, especially since he suspects Ken and his mother are getting close. Frustrated, he goes to his room and finally calls his father. Mike is thrilled and says he wants to meet. When Cameron asks if he has been stalking them, Mike denies it and blames Catherine, saying she pushed Cameron away from him. Before Cameron can say more, Catherine arrives. She asks who he was talking to, and he lies, saying, "No one." Later, when Jackie appears again, Cameron gets angry and demands the truth. Jackie explains that his father discovered his mother's affair with Matthew, killed her, and buried her in the barn. To keep Jackie quiet, Frank told him that if anyone learned he lived there without a mother, they'd take him away. That's why they kept dogs, to keep bad people out. Jackie says he told Art Sinclair everything, and Sinclair promised to keep the secret. "This is all my fault," he adds. But before he can explain, Catherine arrives again. Later, Cameron has a vision of Frank holding a gun to his wife and forcing her to write a letter. That evening, seeing Ken and his mother together upsets Cameron. He goes to the barn and calls his father. When Ken shows up searching for him, Cameron quickly ends the call, but not before mentioning Ken's name, which makes Mike suspect Ken is Catherine's new boyfriend. Mike sounds gentle, but his intentions aren't. Ken overhears Cameron, but ignores it and just tells him not to stay in the barn too long. After Ken leaves, Jackie appears again, and Cameron asks, "Why are you blaming yourself?" Jackie finally explains that his father had forbidden him to meet Art Sinclair, but he didn't listen. To punish him, Frank tried to scare him with the dogs. Then Frank slipped on the stairs and fell, and the dogs attacked him. He screamed for Jackie's help, but Jackie was too weak. He ran inside, and the dogs chased him into the house. To escape, Jackie hid in a trunk in the attic, while the dogs killed Frank. This is why Jackie believes everything is his fault. Later, Ken and Catherine apologize to Cameron. Ken even says that if Cameron doesn't want him there, he won't stay. But by now, Ken had accepted their relationship completely. That night, while Cameron is studying, he feels like someone is in the barn. He tells Catherine and Ken. Catherine still thinks it's just his imagination, but Ken suggests checking it out. They search the barn, but no one is there. The next day, Cameron threatens Cody to stay away from their house, thinking Cody is behind the scares. Later, he calls Mike and says he will never call again because he promised his mother he wouldn't lie. Mike dislikes it, but stays quiet. After the call, we see videos on Mike's phone of Cody and Cameron fighting. Someone had posted them online. Now Mike knows their location. That evening, Ken is supposed to pick Cameron up from school. But time passes, and he doesn't arrive. Later, Cameron sees a car arriving, but instead of Ken, it's Mike, his father. Shocked, he asks what Mike is doing there and where Ken is. Mike tells him not to worry. When Cameron tries calling Ken, Mike has Ken's phone too. Cameron instantly knows something is wrong, and Mike angrily orders him into the car. Panicking, Cameron asks about his mother. Mike had already taken Catherine hostage, and Ken was unconscious in the trunk. Realizing this, Cameron finally understands how dangerous his father is and why his mother kept him away. He also realizes it was Mike in the barn that night. Now, Mike talks about getting rid of Catherine and taking Cameron with him. But Cameron escapes at the first chance and runs into the woods. Mike chases him immediately. Cameron begs Jackie to show him a path, and Jackie tells him to follow. Cameron then hears dogs approaching. Mike catches him, and when Cameron struggles, Mike points a gun at him, insisting he belongs with his father. Suddenly, a pack of vicious hunting dogs, just like Frank's, appear and attack Mike, tearing into him. Cameron runs in fear and bumps into Art Sinclair. Crying and shaken, he clings to Sinclair, who tries to calm him. The scene shifts to their house, where the police have arrived, and now know everything Mike has done. Art Sinclair is also there. The officer says she doesn't know who attacked Mike. She thinks it could have been wolves, but no one has seen any in the area for years, so it's hard to be sure. Art then tells them about Jackie. He says there's another body outside, one he buried himself, and it belongs to Jackie. Art explains he once thought Jackie's mother had run away. He knew Jackie's father was a terrible man. Jackie had promised to meet him, but never came. Art assumed Jackie's mother took him away after Frank's death, but that wasn't true. 10 years earlier, a huge storm hit the area. When Art went to check Jackie's house, he found Jackie's body locked inside a trunk in the attic. The day the dogs attacked Frank, Jackie hid in that trunk and got trapped. He couldn't get out and died there. Art becomes emotional, saying he should have called the police, but no one was searching for Jackie or even remembered him, so he buried the body himself in a place Jackie loved. He also says he witnessed Frank murder his wife and Matthew. The officer says they can't prove it without bodies. Cameron tells them the bodies are buried in the barn, Jackie told him. Catherine doubts him at first, but Cameron insists he's telling the truth. The police search the barn and find the bodies. Perhaps Jackie only wanted the world to know his father's truth. He was a restless spirit waiting to be freed. In the final scene, the family visits Jackie's grave, and the film ends.